What is going on, everyone? Welcome into the Brant Partial Show. So let's talk about the Justin Fields, Caleb Williams thing. And to me, I guess my opinion's kind of a little bit different than most people. But I'll just say this about the Justin Fields, Caleb Williams controversy, if you will, the debate, like the number one debate in sports right now. My take on it is to take Caleb Williams. If that means trading Justin Fields, so be it. Because I think it's kind of funny how things can change so quickly throughout the course of a season. If you remember, let's go back to the summer. Mel Kiper said this. Whatever people think of Mel Kiper, he did say this. He is respected in his industry. Even if you like him, you don't like him, you agree with him, you don't agree with him. Mel Kiper said he's probably the highest rated quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck. Now, if you remember, Andrew Luck turned around the Colts. The Colts were a bad team. The Colts drafted Andrew Luck. Suddenly, their problems cleared up. Suddenly, it's not such a bad franchise. And it was a bad franchise because, look, they really struggled to get talent around Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck kind of carried the Colts for a long time. So Caleb Williams has been put on that same pedestal as Andrew Luck. So now all of a sudden people are saying he's not that guy. But then Vegas tells us otherwise. Look at the odds so heavily in favor of Caleb Williams. Plus, 1,000 odds to go number one? Now, is Vegas always right? No, but usually Vegas is a very good indicator. That doesn't mean he's going to be a franchise-altering guy, but I think if you're the Chicago Bears, you take Caleb Williams, not just because it's not even as much about that you don't believe in Justin Fields. It's just like so many years of pain and misery can be cleared up and so many holes in a bad franchise. And I say bad franchise because the GM, Ryan Poles is the guy now. They've just done it. They've overpaid for guys. Now, Montez Sweat was a decent move. But for example, Tremaine Edmonds was a linebacker. Okay? Well, obviously. They overpaid for Tremaine Edmonds. The Bills didn't really want Tremaine Edmonds. They overpaid for him. Bad decision. The Bears have just been a string of bad decisions for a long time. Now, the Khalil Mack trade, you could argue, was it good? Was it bad? Was it just okay? Point being is, the Bears, have they had some okay decisions? Sure. But, you look at Mitch Trubisky, that was a miss. So I guess kind of back to the main point at hand, when you can draft a quarterback that'll clear up a lot of your problems in Caleb Williams, you do so. I mean, look at, even that's the discussion and that's the question you have to ask yourself if you're the Chicago Bears. Do we believe Caleb Williams can be a game-changing quarterback? Do we believe he can be a franchise-altering guy? Do we believe that, we have some issues in this franchise? Do we believe that his talent will make up for some of the issues in this franchise? That is the question the Chicago Bears have to ask. If the answer is no to that question, then you better keep Justin Fields. Then you better find a way. Then you should probably trade out of that pick. Probably should trade back to 3, make a deal with New England if they really like Caleb Williams. Trade back to 3, get Marvin Harrison, combine him with Justin Fields, combine as much weapons as you can, maybe keep the number 9 pick, get you an offensive lineman. If Joe Olafocio's there, then you get Marvin Harrison, an offensive lineman. Now you're creating more and more no excuses for Justin Fields to fail. But I guess the argument, I've thrown it out there that I would take Caleb Williams. Now, I've kind of drifted away from Justin Fields just because he's kind of becoming one of those guys where if we get this and this and that around him, he'll be good. Look at Mahomes. You go back to Andrew Luck with the Colts. Such an elite game-changing quarterback makes up for the deficiencies on your team. Look at Andrew Luck for years. I mean, the Colts really poor. It was a no-name defense. I mean, there wasn't a lot of big-time receivers, playmakers outside of T.Y. Hilton. The guy like Caleb Williams, now a lot of people have shifted from this. I believe Caleb Williams is a game-changing quarterback. Will he be? That's what's left to be determined. But I do believe Caleb Williams is a game-changing quarterback. And I do believe that he can make up for some of the inadequacies in the Chicago Bears franchise. Time will tell, though. We'll see what the Bears do. We'll see if they'll trade out of that pick. There's a lot of teams that are interested. I'm sure there'll be teams, a lot of teams. I'm sure there's teams interested in trading up with the Bears. It'd be interesting what type of haul they could get for him. I know that information probably is not going to be readily available, but it'll be interesting to see what type of haul they could get for Justin Fields. So we'll shift to the NFL draft. You talk about the wide receivers. It really all starts Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison, I guess this is kind of my hot take in regards to the top wide receivers in the 2024 NFL draft. I think Marvin Harrison is the best receiver in this draft. I don't want to be the hot take guy, try to get cute with my rankings here and put, Malik Nabers, Odunze 1. But as of right now, I put Harrison 1, Malik Nabers 2, and Rome Odunze 3. But I think I've kind of shifted away from just pounding my fist and making rankings, because I think that if you take Marvin Harrison, Malik Nabers, and Rome Odunze, I think it's not crazy to think that I'll say this. I think it's easy. It's not hard to think that Rome Odunze or Malik Nabers could have a better rookie season, and Marvin Harrison could still have the better career. I think Malik Nabers is actually a guy that's more ready to make an impact in the NFL. I think his game he's a guy that just works hard, knows how to get open, just so electric with the ball in the hands. And not that Marvin Harrison Jr. isn't. I think Rome Odunze even too. I'd say both those guys are more pro ready to make an impact than Marvin Harrison. Not that Marvin Harrison isn't. I just think that he's bigger body. He's not as kind of quick twitch, agile. I think Malik Nabers, those guys are I think they're a lot more polished and more ready to step into the NFL day one. Now, a lot of that depends on the situation. But do I think Marvin Harrison has the best career of them? Yes. But I guess the point I've really tried to make, and I'll sum it up here, is just I won't be surprised if Rome Odunze 1,000 yards, 9-10 touchdowns, or Malik Nabers has something comparable and has a better statistic season than Marvin Harrison. I wouldn't be surprised. So yeah, keep an eye on those three guys. Those would be my top three. I think Keon Coleman's right there. I think the guy out of Franklin out of Oregon is a pretty good player too. There's a couple other guys I'm forgetting, but as far as the wide receiver class is concerned, it's Marvin Harrison 1, Malik Nabers 2, and Rome Odunze 3. But Malik Nabers is the guy I'm most excited for in the NFL, because when you watch him play in the NFL, it reminds me of an avalanche. This is a guy that just when he gets hot, it's just he can have a drive of 3 catches and it's in rhythm. He's just making plays, and when he gets in the open field, can just fly past people. So Malik Nabers is a guy I'm just super excited for, and he's a guy that's trending, I guess, if trending in the wrong direction at this time, if you will. I know his draft stock is decreasing. Well, I would say in terms of the media, and is in regards to mock drafts. Now, mock drafts are a little bit of the media, a little bit of what experts are hearing, what Daniel Jeremiah is hearing from NFL scouts, NFL people. Malik Nabers' draft stock it seems to be dropping. I guess I can't really, in mock drafts, I've still seen him go top 5, top 10, as high as 4 to the Cardinals. I've seen Nabers go. Actually, maybe 3 to New England. It's either 3 to New England or 4 to Arizona. But the point being with Malik Nabers is there are a lot of things kind of working against him right now. Didn't test at the combine. I think there was a medical issue. I think I don't want to give false information. I think he declined to interview, but I don't know if that's true. But I know he did not test at the combine. There is no 40 on record for him at the NFL Combine. He's going to test at his pro day, LSU pro day, as far as I know. So yeah, Malik Nabers to me is an interesting guy, and he's just the guy. Malik Nabers is an example of why ratings are kind of annoying, because if you're just a casual NFL draft follower, if you're a casual football follower. Let's say you're a Cardinals fan and you don't really follow the NFL draft too closely. You're gonna pull up the NFL draft rankings, pull up mock drafts, and you're gonna see, Cardinals take Malik Nabers. Well, we're not getting Marvin Harrison. He's a consensus number 1 guy. So the immediate reaction is that's a slight disappointment. But how I look at it is, if you follow Malik Nabers, like I followed him closely, watching a lot of LSU games, that's no that's no consolation prize, if you will, getting Malik Nabers if you're the Arizona Cardinals. I talked to my buddy. He was a Cardinals fan. He would be happy about Malik Nabers. Obviously, though, his first reaction was wants Marvin Harrison. But if you watch Malik Nabers, you watch even just his highlights. That's how good this guy is. You watch Malik Nabers, you know what kind of skill set, you know what type of talent this guy has. Guy that not just last year, but also in 2022 had a phenomenal season. So you know what this guy's capable of. You know what he can do. You know the level he can perform at, the electric plays after the catch. We'll see what he does at the pro day. A good time at the pro day, and maybe there's he's right back in the conversation as the surefire number 2. I still think he is the surefire number 2, but without the combine testing, there's the talk about maybe Odunze is the number 2 guy, maybe Coleman's the number 2 guy, maybe Franklin from Oregon. There's other guys that have kind of creeped up behind Malik Nabers, but I think, Harrison cemented as the number 1, Malik Nabers number 2, maybe Odunze, Coleman, there is an argument, but as far as it goes, Marvin Harrison in the tier 1, Malik Nabers, Odunze, in my opinion, are tier 2, and then I guess Coleman has an argument for tier 2, even though I'd say Keon Coleman tier 2. So I would say those are my top 4 rankings. Number 5 is, maybe Johnny Wilson from Florida State. I don't think he's an elite mover, but just from a size and physical specimen standpoint, he's a good player. But yeah, Franklin from Oregon has a skill set. So those are kind of 5, 6 guys to keep in mind. But as far as my top 4 is concerned, Harrison 1, Nabers 2, Odunze 3, and Franklin 4. And Coleman 4, excuse me. But yeah, the tight end position really starts with Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers, freak of nature, dominated 2 national championships. This was a season he didn't really need to go out and prove anything. Still played, still battled through some injury, opted out of the bowl game, chose not to test in the combine. I'm sure, I don't even know this for certain, but I guess so this is all, okay, I can't confirm this, but I assume this information might be readily available, but this is my assumption. I assume his agent told him not to test, is what I would assume. It's like, dude, you're already probably going to go top 5, top 10. Told him not to test. Looking back on it, though, the way, I know mock drafts aren't everything, but the way he's kind of trending, sometimes falling to like 15, 10 range. Now, I have a hard time believing Brock Bowers will fall out of the top 5, 6, 7. I'd say top 8. It's hard for me to believe. I think that's why mock drafts are annoying, because like Brock Bowers is a guy where it's like he could, like Harrison, like Caleb Williams, Harrison, are going top 5. Especially Caleb Williams is going top 3. But like, Harrison and Caleb Williams aren't falling out of the top 3. That's happening. But Brock Bowers is a guy where you're very certain he's going top 8, but it's not completely out of the realm of possibility that he could fall to the 10 to 15 range. But it's very likely is what we'll put that tag under, that Brock Bowers goes top 8. But yeah, Brock Bowers, incredible talent, did a lot of good things for Georgia. Big physical specimen, makes catches, incredible after the catch. Maybe the best tight end, has a chance to be as good of a tight end as we've seen in the NFL. And I don't even say that lightly. I mean, Brock Bowers has got the work ethic. He's got the traits. He could, if he wants to be Rob Gronkowski, he could be Travis Kelce, or he could be Rob Gronkowski, he could be Travis Kelce. And I know that sounds crazy to say, because it's, he's got a long way to go, but like, I think that's why people are so high on that draft, because I was talking about this last night. Like, Brock Bowers, with the traits he has, it kind of just is up to his work. It's how good he wants to be. Maybe he's not the physical specimen Gronk is, which is crazy because he is a physical specimen in his own right. But like, you could argue his movement skills, catching ability, run after the catch is at least on par with Gronk, if not better. So except for the wingspan and the height, Brock Bowers is comparable in almost every metric to Gronkowski. So I think Brock Bowers, Harrison, Caleb Williams. I think that's why people were excited about this draft, because you look at those 3 guys. Those 3 guys can be as good as they want to be. I think that's why people were excited about this draft, because a lot of people, when they get to the NFL draft, if they're casual fans, they look at, who are the top guys? Who are the top guys? Who are the top guys at this position? Who are the top guys at that position? So I think that's why people are really excited, because they've watched those guys now for 3 years, and those guys have been in people's minds, not just coming into this season, but coming into last season, because of the impact they made respectively as freshmen. Like, you look at Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison played in 2021 Rose Bowl, had a nice game. Caleb Williams played in 2021 at Oklahoma, did a nice job. Brock Bowers from day one in 2021 in that game against Clemson made an impact. So these are three guys that made an impact for 3 years, and they have skill sets where they really could be as good as they want to be. If if they have the work ethic mentality, they could be wearing gold jackets in 10 years. That's the type of the talent. That's the type of skill set. That's the type of, generational talent, whatever label you want to put for these guys. That is what they have. But yeah, Caleb Williams has a chance to be great. I think that, to me, Caleb Williams reminds me of the Josh Allen thing at Wyoming. Because if you remember let's look back to Josh Allen at Wyoming. Because people forget this, like the Andrew Luck thing. People forget this about Josh Allen. Josh Allen at Wyoming, people would say, one of the criticisms, I remember Chris Sims brought this up, he was trying to do too much. Like, if you look at Caleb Williams, that's what a lot of people said about this year. USC, not very good. He's trying to do too much, some turnovers, da-da-da. And another guy this example fits in was Justin Herbert at Oregon. Remember Justin Herbert that last season? Turnovers. It was just like sometimes people were given the label careless throws. But remember, Justin Herbert proved a lot of people wrong. There was even videos made, Justin Herbert, the next Mitch Trubisky. So that's the thing with Caleb Williams. Yeah, he had a down year this year, but I think people get too infatuated with a down year, okay? You got to, when you're evaluating guys, I always evaluate, when you're evaluating high school guys, college guys, NFL guys, guys that play pickup in the street, what can the guy do? And Caleb Williams throws the ball at an exceptional level. He can make some throws on the run. He can throw with pinpoint accuracy. He's comfortable in the pocket. 2021, 2022, there was, he's been labeled the generational talent, which is not always true, but it accounts for something. Because look at how many guys have been labeled generational talent and have become generational talents. Andrew Luck, arguably Kelvin Johnson. I know that's going back a few years. Adrian Peterson, these guys that, so Caleb Williams, I guess the main point is Caleb Williams, with the exception of this year, the down year, that's all the ingredients are there as far as, 2 really good seasons, done it at 2 different schools, had a really good season in Lincoln Riley and USC's first year. And, coming into this year, was getting the label as best prospect since Andrew Luck. Once again, I know it was Mel Kiper that said that. People don't necessarily like Mel Kiper, but he is on ESPN, and his opinion is respected for a reason because he's been doing it for a long time. So, yeah, Caleb Williams has a chance to be great. I'm a big fan. I'm all in on Caleb Williams. If I'm wrong, I'll be the first to admit it right here. And I don't want to fall because I don't want to fall in this trap. I don't even want to say almost. I did fall in this trap with Justin Herbert. Sometimes people, it's kind of like in life. Sometimes people tend to ignore their own eyes. Like, I watched Justin Herbert, and I'm blown away. If we rewind to 2019, Justin Herbert at Oregon. And I'm blown away by some of his movement skills, his size, the way he throws the ball. And then I start seeing videos, and I start seeing kind of the talk of, next Mitch Trubisky, turnover prone, can't read a defense. Some of the labels too that Justin Fields has. Now Justin Fields, hasn't been quite as good as Herbert, but the point I'm trying to make is there was a lot of talk that was trying to get people to defer or trying to change that would, get you to change your mind on Justin Herbert. And I keep hearing things that want me to change my mind on Caleb Williams. And I'm putting my fist down, and I think Caleb Williams is going to be a generational talent. I could be wrong. I'll be the first to admit it right here, but I do think Caleb Williams is a generational talent. I do think he's got a chance to be a really good quarterback in the National Football League. So, if I'm the Chicago Bears, I'm taking him. Obviously, you got to do something with Justin Fields. I don't even like to speculate the trade compensation or what they could trade him for. But I think realistically you can get a second-round pick for him. I don't know if Pittsburgh is the trade partner. That does sound like a deal Pittsburgh would make. They're not a team that gives up first-round picks for guys too often. I know Minkah Fitzpatrick was one example of a time they've done that, but that's really worked out well. So I don't think Pittsburgh is a smart organization. I don't think they would give up too much for him. I don't think they would give up a first, but I do think they could give up a second round. I do, and I don't even know that for certain that they have a second round pick this year. If someone wants to comment that, I'm pretty sure they do. So I think that's plausible that they give up a second round pick for Justin Fields, but we will see. So what's the next thing I want to talk about? So the Patriots traded Mac Jones to Jacksonville. I guess, I'm the first to admit I'm wrong here, but I'll take some credibility for being right. I was never a huge Mac Jones guy. I think there were some things to like at Alabama. He won a lot of games. He could make some plays in the pocket. He had some accuracy. But to me, he was too... To me, his season in 2020 in Alabama was kind of, to me, he's a guy you want to talk about, like his ceiling. If the 2020 season in Alabama was anything to say about Mac Jones, it was showing his ceiling as just probably a solid starter, because you saw that could make plays within the system, get the ball out fairly quickly, accurate, fairly comfortable in the pocket, actually had some semi-mobility. All these things have translated with Mac Jones, but also what you see is what you get with Mac Jones. And what I mean by that is he's been fairly accurate in some games. He's been able to make some plays in the pocket. He can navigate the pocket somewhat well, but that's kind of all you've got for Mac Jones. There is no off-platform throws. There is no wow plays. There is no taking over games. There is no 3 touchdown performances. So what you see is what you've gotten from Mac Jones in the NFL. And Mac Jones... Bottom line, solid quarterback, but just not a guy that's never going to be a guy that's just going to be elite game-changing quarterback, a guy that's just going to be, go out, throw for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns multiple times in the season. That's just not who Mac Jones is. Maybe Jacksonville's approach is, Lawrence has had some durability issues. We have at least a solid, serviceable backup in case he goes down. Maybe that's what they're thinking, but I think it was kind of a dumb trade by their part. I said it kind of reminded me of like a little kid playing Madden, a kid, and he just wants to trade just to trade is what it kind of reminded me of. So I'm thinking Jacksonville, that was just like a trade to trade. But I don't know. I guess I kind of sound hip, I sound like I'm contradicting myself because I kind of just outlined that it is a good situation as far as backup. But that's kind of just you kind of getting into a weird area, if you will, when you're trading for backup quarterbacks. Because it's just like in the NFL, the Lions cut Jerry Jacobs, for example. And Jerry Jacobs was a pretty solid corner. Okay. And where I'm going with this is Mac Jones has been a solid quarterback. So you trade for him. I know quarterback's a more valuable position than corner, arguably, in the NFL. But the point I'm trying to make is you're just back to the point I made. You're getting into a weird area when you're trading for backup quarterbacks, because solid and pretty good in the NFL oftentimes is not good enough. And like they say, being a backup quarterback, being a practice squad guy isn't a bad gig. You don't have to worry about playing and all that stuff, but it's not a long-term solution. It's a short-term solution, short money grab. How much longer? That's the thing. Mac Jones, since he's a first-round guy, could be in the NFL for a long time, but theoretically, how many years does he have left? Say he doesn't play this year, maybe they cut him, maybe they trade him again, whatever. He's on another team, bumps down to a second, third, or bumps down to the kind of the third guy in the depth chart, and then he's out of the league. How many more years does he have left? I think it kind of goes back to the stigma of first round quarterbacks tend to hang around longer, but then it's also the argument maybe this is the beginning of the end to Mac Jones's career. We'll discuss some of the. I guess we'll discuss some of the trends in mock drafts. So Malik Nabers, Marvin Harrison, both going in the top 5. I actually think I'll say this right now. I think that's going to happen. I think that's one scenario where people are like, nah, that's probably not that likely. I think that's the initial reaction when you see that. Marvin Harrison, Malik Nabers, both going in the top 4. I think that's the initial reaction. But when you think about it, receivers, for whatever reason, go higher and they go more frequently in the first round of NFL drafts than you think. Look at that one. There's been a couple years. That one year you had Ruggs, Henry Ruggs, Judy, CeeDee Lamb, 2020. And you had Jefferson. You had all those guys go in the first round. You're thinking every year there's kind of the over and under of how many receivers are going to be taken in the first round. And it's always about on par. Sometimes the over hits. But it just seems like teams just get infatuated, fall in love with receivers. It's like Zay Flowers this year. Or the Ravens. They've Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers. Those are both guys that were kind of in most people's eyes, well, some people liked them more than the others, but for most people, those were guys that were fringe first round, early second round. Baltimore took both those guys in the first round. So, and that's the thing. If the NFL teams view Marvin Harrison and Malik Nabers like I do, because I think they're going to be elite difference makers, I think they're going to be elite receivers for a really long time, don't be surprised if that happens. And don't be surprised if Odunze even goes ahead of Malik Nabers. I know Odunze just seems like a guy that his skill set will translate well to the NFL. And I know I kind of touched on this just because this guy, he seems to just, you look at his releases off the line of scrimmage, how fluid he is, how natural catching in traffic looks for him. He looks like a guy he's going to make it work in the NFL, even if he doesn't become Justin Jefferson or he doesn't become maybe a top 3, even 5 receiver in the NFL. He's going to be you can see him having a Keenan Allen type of career. Now, hopefully he doesn't have some of the injuries Keenan Allen, but the point being is Keenan Allen's just been a good NFL receiver for a long time. And that's what. Now, I don't think their skill sets are that close, but I think Odunze will be a really good receiver for a really long time. And I think he will have a career comparable of Keenan Allen, of a really good receiver who had some Pro Bowl seasons. Never really never really become a Kelvin Johnson, Julio Jones, Randy Moss, game-changing type of guy, but just a really good receiver and a guy that it really clicked from day one. And, good rookie season, good second year, and a really good, solid career. So I'm going to wrap with that. Thanks so much for tuning into the Brand Partial Show. Stay tuned for more episodes and clips from the show. Till next time, peace.